Good evening, all, and welcome to our second Spooktacular. A special welcome to all those who are joining us on our live stream, and a special welcome to all those who, like myself, are in costume tonight. I am in costume as an Episcopal priest, and not as the wizard from Harry Potter, as they were saying from here from the front. My name is the Reverend Charles Cowherd, and on behalf of the vestry and the congregation, welcome to St. Timothy's Episcopal Church. I'm so delighted for this performance that we have in front of us. And just a few notes before we begin. There is going to be a reception in Henry Hall after the performance, and so you just head through these doors and make a right, and there's a wonderful spread there. Special word of thanks to all those who made this possible. Janet Dobsovich, Dave Dobsovich, Terry Demoniak, you name it. There's a whole team effort to make this possible. There's also an opportunity to make donations out in the narthex, and Dave is positioned there, and he'll be in Henry Hall as well if you feel so called. The proceeds of that will go to our music fund and fund events like this. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend and my colleague, our choirmaster and organist here at St. Timothy's, Todd Grivetti.
everyone. Thank you for being here on behalf of Charles Cowherd and the vestry here at St. Timothy's. We welcome you and thank you so much for taking time out of your Friday night to be here. This was a toccata by French composer Eugene Gigoux. He served as organist at St. Augustine's Church, Augustine, I guess, in Paris for just a brief 62 years. And he was known for his teaching in improvisation. And he was a student of Camille Saint-Saëns, who is the composer of the dance toccata that I'm doing in this portion. And his nephew, by marriage, was actually Léon Boelman, who is the composer of the final French toccata in the program. And Boelman's, he unfortunately died at the age of 35, but his wife died next year and left their young children orphans. And so Uncle Eugene, who wrote that piece, actually raised them. So it's a little connection between all the French composers that I didn't plan. When I was looking up my history, I realized that. The next piece is the Bach Toccata in Fugue in E minor, very famous. So it's often associated with Halloween. Of course, Halloween was not really celebrated back 300 years ago, especially in Germany. So we don't really know exactly why he wrote this piece. We think it was a teaching piece for his students, or possibly it was used for a prelude, postlude, before and after a worship service. But we have no evidence of that, so it's very interesting. Some of his works we know exactly when they were performed and all of that, but we don't really know. Let's see, toccata comes from the Italian word toccare, which means to touch, and the fingers are moving very fast, basically. So that's what I just played. It was a French toccata, a little bit newer than the Baroque toccata you're about to hear. And a fugue is a theme that is repeated. And you'll hear it first in my left hand, then in my right hand, and then in my feet. And then it kind of, moves around. People often ask me who my favorite composer is, and all organists have to say Johann Sebastian Bach. Because he was the first to write such intricate pieces for the organ. So many people have done this type of stuff since him, but he was really the first to write interesting, intricate pieces like this. And they're just fun to play. You'll see my hands and feet flying. And when I was a little kid starting out, they really kept me busy, kept me focused, And it's a good thing. So please hold your applause between the toccata and the fugue. Hold your applause. And of course, between the movements of the Dracula suite that's coming up. And I wanted to ask, raise your hand if this is your first time at an organ concert. This is your first time. Yay! Let's give them a round of applause. So, the biggest compliment I ever received, somebody said, "You're an organist? You're too cool to be an organist." And that just made my heart sing, because yeah. So anyway, most organ concerts you go to, organ music is very academic. Many concerts you go to that are organ concerts, you might fall asleep because you have listening, right? But I'm trying to make this one fun. I hope you will listen. I will say, here's my teacher moment. If there are children seated together that maybe need a little break, it is totally fine to go in the narthex out here. Hopefully the doors will be closed, right, at some point. And you can hear the concert out there. The sound is piped out there, so if you need a break, totally fine. Also, perhaps it might help to have some adults that can some students maybe that cannot, do the right thing, you know what I mean? Also, to my students here from Horizon, welcome. And when we're listening to music in class, I always say, listen now and then ask questions later. Okay, so listen to the music, enjoy it, allow your brain to imagine and ask questions, and then afterwards, you can ask me questions or save it until school next week or anything. So yeah. So welcome again and enjoy the toccata. another funny story about talking during organ concerts. You know, the organ can go from very loud to very soft all of a sudden. And a friend of mine played for a church years ago. He might be watching on live stream now. And his words, someone said I stand up, but I pick me up better. His words, the church was very noisy. And so he would add big pregnant pauses in his music. And at one time after a church service, everybody's just talking, hey, how's your mama doing? Good to see you. Oh, yeah. You know, they're yelling. And so he put this big pregnant pause in the music, stopped playing. And at the end of the church, he heard, I fry mine in butter. And he said he almost lost it. And of course, they didn't even realize that their voice had projected through the whole audience. And they weren't even embarrassed, but he just thought it was weird. So you might have a big pregnant pause, everybody. And if you're talking, you'll be caught. All right, so this next one, the Dracula Suite, has multiple movements, and you'll definitely be able to know when the end is there because it's full organ again, just like you just heard. So this is meant to be kind of a introduction to the organ to tell you, introduce all the different sounds on the organ. And so the first movement is the Mist at Dracula's Castle, and it's depicted by a very slow and eerie sound. And this features the strings of the organ, and the strings are thin, narrow pipes, and they're tuned slightly apart to make sound waves. So for instance, if you have a really good ear, you can hear this sound. And when I add this celeste, it's tuned slightly out of tune, but when you put it together, it actually sounds really nice. So it makes a wah, because it's two different pitches fighting each other, basically. And it actually makes a really nice sweet sound. The second movement is Dracula Rising and Walking the Night. So again, it's an eerie and slow start, and this features the flutes. Most flutes are wooden. When you leave tonight, be sure to walk behind the organ. I have the lights on inside the organ, and the pedal division, which is the part I put my feet, is in a cage in the back, and so you can actually walk around the organ at the end of the concert, and you can see inside. And the flutes are the big wooden red, they're painted red, and those are the wooden ones. The ones next to them, that's a string pipe. It's very tall and thin and narrow. And next to that is a diapason pipe. It's kind of fat and wide, like the front pipes here. And then the one next to that is a reed pipe that has a lute and a wire on it, and that makes a buzzing sound like a trombone. So it's a good introduction to the different types of pipes. You can actually see them in the back. And in that second movement, it uses a tremolo, which gives it like a 1920s silent film or Wurlitzer organ sound. And I've been talking about tremolo in my classroom at Horizon, and a tremolo can be made with the piano by taking your left hand or your thumb and your pinky and doing a octave, like ladies and gentlemen, now presenting. Or you can do a drum roll, right? That's called a tremolo. Or you can do a roll on the xylophone, which is what we do in school, and that's called tremolo. But on the organ, it's actually a stop pull, and it actually puts a leak in the wind channel, so that you actually lose air and then you get air. You lose it and you gain it back and forth, and it goes like that, and it makes the sound a wobble, like a vibrato. And the third movement is Dracula creeping toward the crypt. This features the reeds. And so these front pipes here, they don't have boots on them, but a reed pipe has it sits in like a cup, and that's called a boot. And it has a little wire on it, and it adjusts the reed inside, and the reed is made of metal, and it buzzes. So if you know a clarinet, oboe, saxophone, those are reed instruments. They're made of wood. Organs have reeds made of metal. And they imitate oboes, clarinets, French horns, trumpets, trombones. On this organ, we have an oboe, a trumpet, and a trombone. And so, trombone. And so we'll feature those. That is supposed to be, that's supposed to be Dracula creeping towards the crypt. And the low flute sound is supposed to be the owl. It's my favorite stop on the organ. It's also a wooden pipe. It's here in the front, you can see it. It's a melodia, and it's supposed to be an owl sound. It makes that little sound. And then a second later, it makes a high-pitched sound, and that's supposed to be the sound of the morning birds chirping. You'll hear that. And then the sun slowly rises and creeps over the crypt, and the music builds to the end. And when you hear the big chord at the end, you know that the sun has risen and Dracula has avoided the light once again. The fourth movement is Dracula's Kiss. It's supposed to be romantic, so the tremolo comes back on, and it's very much like a sad love song from a silent movie. And this piece especially is what this organ is built for. This organ, most of it is from the 1800s, 1870. And in that time period in American history, the music that was written for these organs was very schmaltzy and just warm and big fat chords and just very emotional music, you know. And so this piece is definitely good for that. You can see, if you're seated like right here, you can see inside the organ, and there's little shades, kind of like blinds on a window, and there's a box inside every organ called a swell box because it swells, it gets louder and softer. And so when it's open, it's loud, so I'll show you what I mean, and then I'll close it and you'll hear it getting softer. So now it's soft because it's closed, and then you'll see it open back up. And so most organs have those, even the smallest ones usually have a swell box. And I'll use that especially in that song. I'll use that especially in that to give some expression and dramatic dynamics. The fifth movement is Dracula Strikes. This features the principals or the diapasons. So organs from the 1800s in America, they don't usually have principals, they have diapasons. And the diapasons are these pipes right here in the front. You can see how fat they are, they're very wide. And so if it was a principal, so say there's a builder in America that builds German style organs, and it would be thinner pipes, and they would be maybe a little more chiffier, like but these pipes, they're a little slow to speak, but that's what they're built for. And so here are the front pipes that you can see. So you can hear how slow some of them are to speak, like this guy. So it makes playing Bach, some of my fat songs that I'm playing tonight, it makes it rather challenging. And let's see, yeah, and this features the whole principal chorus. Okay? And so if you have an 8-foot pipe that is at pitch, so these pipes at the front are 8 feet tall, and so the note that you play is the note that you hear. And then a 4-foot pipe is an octave higher. 2-foot pipe is an octave higher than that. And then also a mixture is 3 pipes with 3 different pitches played together. And when you put it all together, it gives a rich traditional organ sound. So that's a traditional organ sound that no other instrument makes. And then the last movement is Dracula is pursued through the graveyard. So Dracula's footsteps are heard in the low pedal notes with my feet. He's spotted by police, and you'll hear the police whistles and the high flutes. And then Dracula stops suddenly because he's startled, and then the pursuit begins. And the music gets faster and faster and louder. And then you'll hear the big chords going back and forth between my hands and my feet. And that's the police officers knocking down the doors of the castle. And then finally, there's 3 dramatic chords at the end, and that's the stake driven into Dracula's heart. And he died. So that's the end of it. Okay, so enjoy. Okay, so now we are moving into seventh inning stretch. We're moving into the sing-along portion, and have a big shout out to give to a few people not mentioned in the program. So since I printed the program, a lot of people stepped up and did a lot of things. So thank you especially to, wait, what am I forgetting here? Okay, I almost skipped a whole section. I wanted to especially thank Terry Dominiak for being my registrar this evening. This is a mechanical action organ with no presets, so you have to pull everything yourself. And so in order to play difficult pieces or, more fun pieces, I guess you could say, like I'm doing tonight, it's best to have a stop puller and a page turner to help you out. And today is her birthday. And as a way of warming up our voices, how about we sing happy birthday? So her name is Terry, okay? So get ready, on my cue. Here we go. Happy birthday, Terry. And that was a perfect time to play the Zimbelstern. The Zimbelstern are little bells at the end of this concert. You can front and look right here where I'm pointing, and there's a circular golden thing, little bells dangling from it, and it spins around, and it makes that bell sound, so it's pretty fun. Let's see. So these pieces that I'm about to play were written for piano, but I arranged them for organ. And March of the Winkies is for Janet Dobsovic, who organized our reception that we're about to partake in. So let's give her a big round of applause. And so what I'd like to do right now is just to kind of have a mini rehearsal where we kind of run through the sing-along to know where to come in and all of that, and then we can perform it together. So when I'm playing everybody, there's a few times where I'm going to cue you, and I'll look over here at this camera, and that's where I'll cue you. Okay, so I see Tom turning the camera on now, and then he'll zoom in, and so I'll look over there to come in. A few times it's going to be pretty obvious, but sometimes you might need a little help. So if you're looking, I can help you out. And I have to take my mask off for this because I'm using my iPad, and Fourscore is the program that I use, and you have to either wink, twitch your lip or your mouth, or nod your head to turn the page, and so it can't recognize my eyes, so I have to take... Okay, so the first is This Is Halloween from The Nightmare Before Christmas, and you'll have 5 bars of intro, so we don't need to practice that. But how about we just kind of sing it together? The red words are spoken, okay? So for instance, you'll see, this is Halloween, everybody make a scene, trick or treat, till the neighbor's gonna die of fright. It's our town, everybody scream, and then this town of Halloween, okay? So there's some tricky little spots. right there where I just stopped when you say, in this town of Halloween, it's at the same time as you say, I am the one hiding under your bed. So you can either choose to sing, in this town of Halloween, or you can do, in this town of I am the one hiding under your bed, teeth ground sharp and eyes glowing red, okay? And so try to speak with your best, theater voice, with some excitement. And then we go to the end, and I think the rest is pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so let's just sing through it as a practice. I said, boys and girls, ready? Boys and girls of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? Come with us and you will see. This our town of Halloween. This is Halloween, this is Halloween. Pumpkins scream in the dead of night. This is Halloween, everybody make a scene. Trick or treat, tell the neighbor's gonna die of fright. It's our town, everybody scream. In this town of Halloween, I am the one hiding under your bed. Teeth ground sharp and eyes growing red. I am the one hiding under your stairs. Snakes and spiders in your hair. This is Halloween, this is Halloween, 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 Halloween. And then you hear, ya da 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 da. In this town we call home. Everyone hail to the pumpkin song. So we're just doing clip songs, okay? So just clips of the songs. All right, the next one is Beetlejuice. To stick with Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman, one of the best, coolest composers. He wrote the theme for The Simpsons, and the 1990s Batman movies. A really cool composer. So that is just organ. And what I'm doing with that, I'm playing the bass in my feet. So, and then in my hands, I'm doing like the chords. And then in my right hand, I'm going the melody. So just so you kind of see what's going on there. And then of course the Addams Family. We probably don't need to practice this. You just get your snappers ready. Just be careful at the end. It's Addams Family. It's longer, slower at the end. All right, so here, let's just practice that one. Ready? They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together kooky, the Addams Family. Their house is a museum where people come to see them. They really are a scream, the Addams Family. Neat, sweet, petite. So get a witch's shawl on, or broomstick you can crawl on. We're gonna pay a call on the Addams Family. Snap, snap, very nice, okay. And for this next one, so this is based on Danse Macabre by Camille Saint-Saëns, and it starts with the violin. The violin is supposed to be the bones dancing. Macabre in French, macabre, means death, so it's the dance of death, and it's supposed to be a little skeleton dancing. And then when you hear the famous melody, you're gonna spell Halloween. So it's kind of cool because it teaches kids how to spell Halloween. I remember this from when I was in elementary school, and I never knew where it came from. So I finally messaged my elementary music teacher last night, and he's retired now. And I said, do you still have that? I've taught my kids all these years, and I've never known where it came from. It came from an LP record from 1969, and Wade Denning and Kay Land added the words to it. So the words are HALLOWEEN, spells Halloween. HALLOWEEN, spells Halloween. And all my students say, but that's not how you spell Halloween. It's HALLO. And I got double L's. So yeah, HALLO. So let's practice that together in case there's people who don't know that melody. HA, ready, and HALLOWEEN, spells Halloween. HALLOWEEN, W-double-E-N, spells Halloween. So it's not the best key to sing in, but if some of you ladies, or especially the kids, if you want to sing H-A-double-L-O-double-E-N, spells Halloween. Way up there, yeah, sing it out. Okay, so I'll give you the cue for that. It starts with this. So, give you a head nod for that one. All right, and then of course we've got Ghostbusters. You'll hear this. Ghostbusters, da 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 da. Yep, and then let's everybody try it. Ready? If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. If there's something weird and it don't look good, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. Okay, now we're right here. I'm trusting you can do 3 bars of 4. Okay, so you're gonna count 3 bars of 4. I cannot really cue you because it's so syncopated and off the beat. I've tried cueing, and every time I cue, I do it at the wrong time. So what I'll do is this, if you watch me. Ready? And that's you. Okay. So you just 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. I ain't afraid of no ghosts, and then you do it again. And that's you. So yeah, you just have fun. If you mess it up, who cares? And then we go back and sing it the second verse. If you see things running through your head. And then the end of the song is this. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. Okay. This next one from The Wizard of Oz, you'll hear me do this. And then I'll give you a cue, and this is what it sounds like. Yo, yo, yo. And so I did an E because there's a little grace note. You go, yo. So try it again. Yo, 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 yo. And you keep on going. I'm going to play some different things, but you just keep on repeating, keep on repeating. You get softer. I'll do this. You get softer, softer, softer until the end, and then I'll give you a cutoff, okay? And then, of course, we do the famous Phantom of the Opera, and I don't think we need to practice that one. Well, I realized that a lot of my students, they said, Mr. Grivetti, what are you dressed up as? And so I've failed as a music teacher that I haven't taught a Phantom of the Opera. But yeah, so I'm dressed as the Phantom from Phantom of the Opera, and this is the theme song from the Broadway musical. The longest running musical on Broadway history, right? 1986 is when it debuted on Broadway. And let's see, so you'll hear, of course, the famous. You'll do here again. Da, 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 ba, 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 2, 3, 4. So let's try it together. Ready? And in sleep he sang to me. In dreams he came, that voice which calls to me, that speaks my name. And do I dream again, for now I find the Phantom of the Opera is there, inside my and then the Phantom sings, ready? And sing again with me, a strange duet. My power over you grows stronger yet, and only time for me to that. All right, so have fun, everybody. Let's start back at the beginning. Here we go. You guys are hired. You sound great. So a big thank you to Dave Dobsovic, Janet's husband, who is helping collect donations. So this is for the music fund, and so concerts like this cost money, and I'd love to be able to do more things like this, and so that's what that goes towards. And a big thank you to Midori Yanagihara, who is taking pictures. Thank you, Midori. And thank you to all the people who helped sign up to set up and clean up Hickory Hall and in here, especially Joanna Smith and her daughter Anne Marie, who's helping serve punch. She recruited her to do that. And if you do not have a church home, we certainly would welcome you here at St. Timothy's. I have felt a welcome here at St. Timothy's that you don't always feel other places, and so if we see you here, it would certainly make us happy, and we hope you feel welcome tonight and again when you come. And I especially want to thank my husband Jeffrey Bloomfield, because he not only bought music for me, the sheet music, Star Wars, the whole saga, but he did all of this spider stuff, the organ concert with the crypt, and he he's the cool-looking pharaoh over here, and let's see, he also made some great brownies in the reception, so I hope you will definitely partake in those. Take some home with you, so you see some left over. And thank you also for Jeff allowing me on many days, many hours preparing for this, so thank you. And I also have to say thank you to my mother Peggy is here from Richmond visiting. She has the pretty fall leaves on, so if you see her. And then my sister's mother-in-law, her name is Amy Oliver, she drove her up from Richmond, and she's the hippie next to her. So enjoy Duel of Faith from Phantom Menace. So I'm sure you'll recognize this. It's the theme from Halloween. At the end, I'll do a special trick that you can do with the mechanical action organ by turning the blower off. And so the keys still work and the pipes still play. And it's a funny effect. And so you'll hear the reservoir, which looks like bellows that you use to stoke a fire, slowly losing its air and the wind pressure dying down inside the chest where the pipes sit. And then I'll turn the back on and you'll hear it come alive again. So it's kind of a funny effect. But you really have to sit tight and listen to it, because when the air is dying out of the pipes, it goes woo, but then it goes woo, and it keeps on going, and then you'll hear the blower come back on. So this organ, like I said, it's mechanical action, so it has trackers. You go around back at the end of the concert, you'll see these strips of wood kind of coming down, and those are the trackers. And so when I push a key, that opens the pipe and makes the air go into the pipe. You can couple the manuals together. So there's a youth here at St. Tim's that calls it magic keys. When I play like that, you probably can't see it maybe before you're sitting. But when I couple the manuals together, the keys play magically, and so you can couple them together to make it louder. And so I hope you enjoy. So I thank you all again. It's hard sometimes to predict how long a concert's going to be. People always ask me, and I hate that question because you know what? Just enjoy life. Who cares how long it's going to be? But so yeah, I did expect it to be a little shorter, so I apologize. But I hope you've had fun, and I know it's late for some of you little guys, and you're here still, so thank you. And so, let's see, yes, I already said that. So please do read the program and all of the notes about the organ, the history, and the people who especially should be thanked for this. There's lots of good information. Charles gave a really great welcome in the song lyrics, more about St. Timothy's, so I hope you'll read that. We do have a reception right after this, only for a 4-minute piece, and so I hope you'll enjoy it. We have wine, cheese, crackers, punch, cookies, brownies, so please stay. And thank you especially to our audio video crew who projected me up front live streaming, so thank you to them. Thank you, Tom and Andy. And I gave you the link to the YouTube channel for St. Timothy's, so you can look back and watch this concert again anytime. And I also gave you my email address here at St. Timothy's. If anybody wants to come and play it sometime, let's not play it tonight. I will leave the organ on so you can see inside. But let's nobody play it. If you guys want to sit and take your picture at it, that's great. But if you really are interested in looking inside the organ and playing it, please contact me, and I'm happy to do that because people have always been welcoming me, and so that's why I'm here today. When churches close their doors to organists, then who can play the organ, right? So I really enjoy teaching about the organ and showing it off. So this final piece, just imagine you're in a French Gothic cathedral. He calls it Suite Gothique, okay? And so you'll hear this spooky melody in the pedal. Okay, and it's just a lot of fun to play. So I play these fast, repeated patterns in the hands, and the melody is in the feet. Enjoy, and I hope you have a great evening and look forward to talking to you in the parish hall for a reception.